Hello and welcome back to Broadside Gaming with me, Zug. So today we're going to be talking stratagems and we're going to be trying to put them into a tier list, really. So I know the ones I favour all of the time, and I've gone through a lot of resources looking at what other people are playing with on YouTube, on Twitch, on Reddit, on the Steam forums and some of the PlayStation forums to try and collect as much information as I can. And I think I'm quite happy with the info I've got. So let's go through them, shall we? We'll just be going through them on here because it's just easier. So let's start with S tier plus. So these are your top. Want to bring them most of the time. Can't really go wrong with them. So we're going to start off with the shield generator pack, not the relay. Sorry, that was the wrong one. Shield generator pack. There it is. So this, I personally use this quite a lot. It is very, very, very good. It keeps you alive a lot longer than you think it would. It does run out occasionally, but it does recharge incredibly quickly as well. So if you're not as confident in your ability to dodge, roll, crouch, get behind cover, I would say this is one of the best picks you can take. Do keep in mind though, this does block you out from taking any other backpack item or support weapon that requires a backpack. So I would say this is number one in the S tier plus list. So next for S tier plus, we are going with the Eagle Airstrike. It's one of the things you get earliest on in the game, but it does not ever become obsolete. This thing is an incredibly low cooldown, multiple uses, and if you buff your ship up enough, it's just going to help you clear out anything up to heavy armor. It won't really touch heavy armor, but we have more tools in our bag of tricks to deal with that, and teammates to help with that. So it's a fast, precise, and has really good AOE, and it can kill objective buildings. So bug holes and automaton sheds. It's got a couple of uses per charge. Has an incredibly low cooldown, as I said, and you unlock it at where are my notes? You unlock it level 2. So, I mean, this thing you can ride through the entire game with this thing. It's very good. If I'm going to take an airstrike stratagem, it usually is the Eagle Airstrike. And now for the last item in S tier plus. And that is it gone? I've lost it already. Aha, here we go. The railgun. I personally always take this. I used to always run the autocannon, but once I started figuring out how the railgun worked properly, by that I mean every time you equip it, make sure you hold R, turn it from safe to unsafe, and you've basically got yourself a Warhammer 40k plasma gun. Because you can overcharge that thing. But obviously, as you can see on the screen, you overcharge it too much, you will explode and die. But this thing can take chunks out of heavy armor and medium armor. It's not only quick to take stuff down, but it has the capability to take those things down. And as a backup support weapon, the railgun is what I would take 90% of the time. So let's move on to S tier. Just make sure to look at my notes. Nope, that's about it. Right. Let's take a look at S tier. So, what have we got in this? So, the first thing we've got is the expendable anti-tank gun. So, this is a one and done weapon, but it does come with 2 of them in the drop pod. So, it does mean a teammate or yourself has 2 shots of it when you drop it down. It has a very low cooldown, and it can take care of quite large bugs if you hit them in the right spots, obviously. Heavier armor and dropships. So this thing it's pretty damn good, and you get it very, very, very early on. I think this is level 5. You get the expendable anti-tank. But don't quote me on that because I don't remember. But it's a very good gun. doesn't take up a backpack slot, and it has a very low cooldown. So if you need something but don't want to have to carry it because you say have you're using, I don't know, the rail gun or something else, this is a very good way of taking on armor. So now, for the second in the S tier, we've got the Mortar Sentry. It's just ridiculous. It does incredibly good damage. It takes out buildings. It flattens everything. But when I say everything, I do mean everything. It will kill you and your teammates. So you need to use it properly, as in very good placement. Don't go in while it's firing because it will just wipe you out. What else does it do? It makes eradication missions laughable. You combine this and the other mortar. That's how you. I mean, I've put a video up of it on the channel already for the Eradicate Medal Farm. This and the EMS version, you can just sit there and wait for the timer to run out while they kill everything for you. It has quite a large ammo pool, but if you want it to be at its finest, you do need to unlock the hangar bays for the specific turrets on your ship. But this thing is an absolute monster. Just do be warned, it is incredibly dangerous on open missions where things can get close to you because it will just target everything all the time. So, be careful. And speaking of the mortar, we've got the EMS mortar. Now, this thing doesn't do any damage, but what it does is it slows down. It slows everything down by chucking out basically EMP grenades. It works on bugs. It works on automaton. It works on teammates. So you combine this and the other mortar. Everything is locked down into position basically, and can just be fired upon continuously. And the EMS mortar is just absolutely amazing. Again, as I said, especially for the farming of medals and experience in Eradicate missions. And now we shall move on to another couple of the things in the S tier, and that will be the grenade launcher. So, because you get this quite early on, people think the grenade launcher, you outgrow it. But this thing is still pretty goddamn good. It has a little bit of a harder time on heavy armor, but most things have a weak spot. For example, the automaton tanks, it is behind the actual turret. There is a energy grill or radiator, whatever the hell it is. If you fire at that, especially with the grenade launcher, you will rip it to pieces. And on the same sort of line with the grenade launcher, you have the autocannon. Now, this weapon has a special place in my heart. This is what I used for most of the game, and I absolutely adore it. Even if you haven't got somebody to load it for you, you just pick up the backpack yourself, and it takes a little bit longer to load. But you can take down almost anything with the autocannon. It's incredibly accurate, it has a huge amount of ammo, and it does a lot of damage. So I kind of rank the autogun and the grenade around the same. Now, for the last few things in S tier, we have got some more of my favourites. For the orbital laser. Now, I do prefer the orbital laser over the orbital rail cannon strike, as the rail cannon strike, it will kill one heavily armored target instantly. But so will the orbital laser, but just not instantly. It will sit on top of that tank or that armored mob until it's dead, and then it will wander off on its merry way, burning everything else in its path. Its use time is a lot longer than you'd think it'd be, and the amount of carnage you can pull out of this thing is absolutely amazing. And also, it has the plus side of being a giant laser, and you can generally see where it is. Unlike a lot of these other barrages where they just kind of drop and you have to run and duck for cover. So the orbital laser, very, very, very good take. Okay, and the last thing that is in the S tier, we have the 500 kilogram bomb. This thing is brilliant for just wiping out a part of a map. You do need to run the hell away from it, but anything in with anything, I think it's like a 30-meter sort of radius around the center, it's just gone. So it's good, as you can see, for wiping out bug holes. You can use it for killing bile titans and whatever. Obviously, you do need to lead your shots, make sure it's actually walking over them, because everything does move in this, and there is a slight delay from dropping to exploding. But nevertheless, it is an amazing stratagem to use. It's one of my favourites out of the hangers. So yeah, that is S tier plus and S tier done. Let's move on to the A tier, which are they're pretty good picks, but more situational rather than just you'll be fine taking them anyway. Right, the orbital precision strike. It's one of the first things you unlock. It's pretty good. It's a lot slower than the Eagle version, but it can take care of objectives, blobs of enemies, and it can one-shot charges. So it's still good, just not quite as outstanding as the others. But it's a very good pick if you don't have anything else, or don't like anything else. So just because you get it first while leveling doesn't mean it's not a good pick. Okay. Next up, we have the Eagle cluster bombs. They're really good at clearing out big piles of mobs, mostly lightly armoured, maybe medium armoured, but they're not going to do much heavy armour. It's got a really cool, really low cooldown, sorry, and it's just amusing to use. So, you know, don't sleep on that one. It's quite fun. And then we're heading into some sentries again. We're going to take a look at the autocannon sentry. It's really good, but it suffers from what all of the sentries suffer from, that it only really fires it fires directly, not indirectly like the mortars. And if anything is between it and its target, it will blow it up or kill it. So you do need to be very careful where you're placing these things. But it's got a lot of ammo. It doesn't shoot really quickly, but it shoots fast enough that it will do some serious damage. And you know, it's always quite good. It's a nice little thing to drop if you're needing some covering fire. And also, it's an autocannon. What's not to like? Right, next up is the recoilless rifle, if I can find it. There we go. So, very much like the autocannon, the recoilless rifle is a backpack weapon. It is loaded a lot faster if you have a friend to help. But if it's solo, you can still reload it. It'll just take a lot longer. This thing is amazing for just cracking hard armor, blowing up buildings. Generally, anything you need a rocket launcher for, this is your toy to do it with. Just be careful, though. As you can see, they are taking down a charger with it. You do need to be quite careful where you're aiming. If you're just aiming for the heavy plates, you're not going to have a good time. You need to try and blow the side armor off and then hit it again in the same spot to kill it. Otherwise, you're just wasting rockets. It's a very good weapon to use. You can use it to just detonate big groups of mobs or taking down big monsters. It's quite nice, but I would say not quite as good as the autocannon. But still a pretty good pick. And then lastly, in the A tier, we've got the orbital rail cannon strike. I know I was dunking on this a minute ago, but that was just in comparison to the laser strike. The rail cannon strike is your go-to if you need that heavy target to not be there anymore. So as you can see, it will automatically go to the heaviest enemy near where you've dropped it, and it will snipe it from above. So it's kind of a one and done, but it does have quite a large cooldown on it. It has about a 5-minute cooldown. But it is incredibly good at dealing with those hard targets you may not be able to deal with your current weapon setup. But as I said, it's quite situational, so this may not be effective in every single mission. Right, let's move on to the B tier with the machine gun. Now, I was thinking about putting this into A tier, but it does suffer a bit against heavier armor. The machine gun gets completely overlooked most of the time because it is something you get from the very beginning. It already comes unlocked. It's literally the first weapon you play with. But what you don't really get is that it has medium armor penetration, and this thing just rips through anything that's out there. I mean, you could almost dump out your primary for this and use this as your primary. It's a lovely weapon to use. I mean, it's just sad it doesn't get as much love. No, not many people will take this on higher, like Helldiver Impossible. It's just too much heavy armor. But from difficulty 1 to say 6, this thing will carry you. On 7 to 9, not so much, just because of the heavy armor that you're dealing with. But until then, this thing, the machine gun's just a nice weapon to use, and it will carry you. Especially if you're very new to the game, the machine gun will just lift you up. Right, next up for the B tier, we have the Napalm Strike. If I can actually find the damn thing. Ah, there it is. Just being blind. So, pretty much does what it says on the tin. It is a Napalm Strike. It puts down a really nice area denial. As you can see, the flames stay put for a while, stops the bugs getting in, and it sets the bigger ones on fire. It feels really good to use, especially against bugs, but it doesn't take out objectives because it's not an explosive. It is full incendiary, so you can't drop this down on a bug tunnel or on an automaton factory. It does do nothing to them. The airstrike is just a better version, so one that we were talking about earlier. But this is very nice for area denial, or if you're on very large maps at low level. I say low level, anything between 1 and 5, 1 and 6, the napalm's still going to be very, very good and help out. If you're being attacked from a corridor that you need to be closed off for a little bit, napalm is your man. And then next up, we've got the jump pack. I fell into the same trap everyone else did. You know, as soon as I was able to, I unlocked it, had a little play with it. It is quite good. It does let you be a little bit more maneuverable. It lets you jump over stuff, but I think there are just better backpacks out there to be using than the jump pack. It is fun and it is useful, but on Impossible and Helldive, I just don't think it's really enough to pull its weight for taking it. You know, it I don't know. It's only where it is now in the B tier because it's amusing. Really, it doesn't pull its weight to be any higher. Right, let's have a look at the next one. The next one is the Guard Dog Rover. Some people hate it, some people love it. He is the bestest boy. He keeps you safe. He watches over you at night. What more could you want? Maybe not being set on fire every 3 seconds. That could be what you want. I've actually found this really useful even in sort of Impossible and Helldive missions. It does help clear out the little sort of chaff infantry so you can focus on medium and heavy armor. The only problem is it doesn't have any armor penetration on the laser, and it does occasionally go absolutely insane and just start burning everything, including you. So if they actually made some changes to this, I would say it could even be boosted up to A tier. But how it is at the moment, it's sadly going to have to sit in B because no armor penetration, and half the time I can't trust it. But I still do take it along sometimes because it makes me laugh. And then we're going to take a look at a few other things in the B tier. The Gatling Sentry. This was one of the first sentries I picked up, and I absolutely loved it because for the few seconds that it is down, it will shred everything and anything, even you. Does nothing to armor though, but chews through anything unarmored with absolute ease. So, as I said, low level or leveling up, Gatling Sentry is a very good thing to take, but after you get past, say, level 20, you probably won't be using this very much at all, which is sad, But, you know. Right. Next thing we're going to take a look at is, we're still in the B tier, by the way, is the supply pack. I was umming and ahhing where to put this. It is generally quite useful having to have someone in your team that can just dole out grenades and mags on the run. But again, it does feel like it's a bit of a waste of a backpack. You know, if it increased some of the stuff it was giving you, like more grenades or more ammo, it could be a bit better. But the fact that it takes up a backpack spot and it requires the user to completely use a resupply pod just to fill the backpack back up, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. So it can sit at the bottom of B tier for the moment. And now we're going to move on to a few more. B tier is quite large because these things aren't terrible. They're just not super great. And we're going to move on to mines next. A lot of people hate them. I don't mind them too much. They're really good for defense missions if you can put them away from the group and just basically mine off an entire area of advance, or if you are running the hell away from something and need a bit of room to breathe and regroup. But they are very situational. But they're also fun. I like them. I don't take them very much anymore, but they are amusing to play with. So there you go, mines. And next up is the HMG emplacement. Where the hell has that gone? So, again, I was torn of this one because I've seen this thing clutch games, but I've also seen this thing be absolutely useless. To make it really shine, you need to unlock all of the ship upgrades so that it has more ammo and more health. And at that point, yeah, it's pretty good. But before that, it's all right. As I said, I've seen it clutch a couple of things, but I've also seen it absolutely just waste its time being there. Maybe we'll find some more things in the future for it to be good at, but at the moment, it's sitting around the bottom of B tier. So, next up, we have the anti-material rifle, which I'd never really used until a week or so ago when they had the daily, which was kill 60 enemies with the rifle. It's a nice little rifle, but it is just a worse version of the railgun. But you know, it's all right. If you want to play with a sniper rifle with a proper scope on it, take this. Or if you want to play with something better, take the railgun. But you know, it's fun to use. It feels good. Is what it is. It's a sniper rifle, really. Doesn't really do anything more than that. Right. Now, time for the C tier. Oh, we're getting worse. And the first stuff in the C tier is the Stalwart. It's a compact, low-caliber machine gun, trades power for ease of use and faster reloading than the heavier machine guns. Only reason that it's down in C tier is that it has no armor penetration on it whatsoever, which makes it amazing for gunning down hordes. If it was just hordes and hordes of, you know, completely unarmored hoplites, then yeah, you'd be great. But it doesn't. It can't hold its own later on in the game, which is sad because it's a fun gun to use. It's just not super great. And moving swiftly along is the flamethrower. You know, does exactly what it says on the tin. Sets fire to everything. But it's a flamethrower. Has no armor penetration, but it does clear up a lot of the little enemies. But they're never really the problem anyway. So I don't see how this fits very well at all. I mean, if it had some armor penetration or was able to burn heavier enemies and knock plates off of them and stuff, then that'd be amazing. But it kind of just ignores anything of medium armor and up, which you don't need help with anyway. So there you go. It's not super great. So next up, we have the Orbital Gatling Barrage in Tier C. It really hates that tiny space that it's shooting in. Other than that, doesn't do very much. I don't like it. It's too small of a radius to really do anything. If it could touch heavier armored stuff, then maybe. But it's far too narrow a sight of focus really for me to ever really like it, which is sad because it sounds really fun when you use it. And next up in Tier C is the Spear. Sadly, it is the Spear. I really loved the Spear in the first game, but in this game, there it is. Not so much. You can't reliably acquire targets. Some things it just won't shoot at, even though you think it should shoot at them. It just like eats through ammo. You can only carry 3 shots on you, and also it takes 4 hours to reload. It's not great, and also its hit trajectory is awful. Like I've shot at a few tanks before, and it doesn't aim for the weak point. It just kind of flies at it, and you waste a shot, and then you've got to spend the next 6 weeks reloading. I don't like the Spear. I think it's just a worse version of everything else, but that's just my personal opinion. And next up, we have got the Tesla Tower. I haven't used this very much, but I have seen a lot of other people use it, and it does tend to just murder people, which isn't great. But it is good for denying a small path from the enemy, but it doesn't last very long. And it seems to have a much bigger rate of killing if your teammates are near it, which is weird. I've seen it not activate when monsters within about 10 meters, but a teammate was in 30 and got absolutely zapped. So yeah, not a huge fan of it. And then next up in Tier C is the Rocket Sentry, wherever the hell that's gone. I mean, it's mostly just because it isn't very well done. The rocket should be either homing or do a lot more damage. At this point, it feels like I'm just flicking peas at the enemy with this thing. I mean, fine, don't do it if they don't want them to be homing. Just let the rockets do more damage. It doesn't feel very good to use ever. Next up is the Machine Gun Sentry. It is just a worse version of the Gatling Gun Sentry. Not much needs to be said. It has no armor penetration. It can't hit anything above no armor. It has less ammo, less damage. Basically, as soon as you get the Gatling Gun, the Machine Gun Sentry is pointless. Sad, but true. Next up is the Guard Dog. It's just a worse version than the Rover. It has even worse armor penetrations, and it runs out of ammo almost immediately. If it had some armor penetration on it, it might be a little bit more useful, but it doesn't. It's just a worse version than the Rover. And next up, we have the Arc Thrower. It can stun stuff, but it has almost no DPS on it. And also the animation is broken, and it tends to throw your vision around a lot, which is very annoying. I think it just needs to be redesigned, to be honest. It just doesn't work very well. Right, and next up after that is the Shield Generator Relay. You know, it's really good for what it does. It makes a big bubble of safety, but it is completely stationary, which makes it not particularly useful. I mean, if you're holding a point for a long period of time, then yeah, it's good. But apart from eradicate missions, don't really need to do that. And eradicate missions, our best defense is killing them before they even get to us. So I just don't see how this is particularly useful at the moment. Maybe there will be different types of missions in the future where this sort of thing is very, very good. I hope there is, because I really like the concept of it. And I would like to be able to use it more. But at this moment in time, it's not that great, to be honest. And next up, we have the 110mm rocket pods. It doesn't do particularly good damage, and I have seen it miss just most of the time. Unless you have a very wide open field to fire this in, everything just gets clipped on rocks and trees. So I don't know if something's just fundamentally wrong with this, or whether that's just how it is. It's just not very good. I wanted it to be good because I really do like the Eagle airstrikes. They're fun. But until until they've actually fiddled with it, it's not great. And then we've got some more orbitals. For example, the orbital EMS strike. Where the hell is it? There it is. It's just a worse version of the mortar. The mortar can drop one of these every 2 or 3 seconds. This has got a huge cooldown, and it does it in a very small radius. There's no point to taking this. You have the EMS mortar. If you've got the EMS mortar, never ever take this. That's about it. Next up is the gas strike. It's a low cooldown AoE strike that doesn't kill objectives or big enemies. It's alright for killing small things, but that's about it. And as I said, we have a million other things in our arsenal for killing small stuff. It's a cool looking ability. Even if it didn't kill armoured stuff, but say rusted their armour or reduced their armour, that'd be cool. But it doesn't. So let's hope they do something with that in the future. And next up from that is the smoke strike. Can give you some cover, but doesn't really feel that useful. Might have a niche for stealth runs, but so far it's a bit crap. I mean, they're all right for doing very high intensive automaton missions, where if you need to just shut down the shooting for a minute, these are very good. But the usefulness is so niche, I can't justify putting in anything above where it is now in the low C tier. Because apart from that one very, very, very niche use, that is it. Right, and today we're going to be talking about some more of the orbital barrages. So first up is the walking orbital barrage. It can soften stuff up and some bases if you're lucky, but the cooldown on it is ridiculous. And as you can see here on the movie, everything's just standing still as it slowly walks through them. In a real gameplay situation, all of that stuff would have already charged you and completely been missed by the barrage. If you're lucky, you might take out one of the buildings that you're aiming for, but it will just walk on. It's not good. Don't use it. And last but not least, in the C tier is the Orbital Barrage 380mm HE Barrage. Same as the Walking Barrage, shells are spaced way too far apart. The AoE from the actual shells is far too small, and the cooldown is ridiculously long. You can even see this in the movie as they're shooting down. It's completely random where they're dropping. The AoE from where they drop is not big enough, so there are just big patches of that base that just have nothing done to it. They're just not very good to use at all. So that's sad, but you know, is what it is. And then we come to the dreaded F tier. And you think, what do we have left to complain about? Well, I'm not complaining about anything. I like all of these things. I want them to be better. That's what I want. Because I love playing all of the stratagems in this game. Okay, so first up in the F tier is the laser cannon. And I was really disappointed about this. I loved the laser cannon in Helldivers 1. You know, Ugg and I put thousands of hours into the first Helldiver. It's just sad this is a bit crap. The damage output's way too low. Again, no armor penetration. It's not even the armor penetration. It's just the damage is absolute dog dirt. It's just not worth taking. It's very fun to use, but when you realise that, like in that view there, killing those 3 bugs, it can't even do that, which one of the starting shotguns would have just one-shotted them. It's sad. And then we've got the ballistic shield. Protects you very, very well on your left side. Every other part of your body will be shredded. And you have to use your pistol as your main weapon, which is awful. You might as well just hide behind a rock and shoot. It's pointless. I don't even know why it's in the game. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible stratagem. And lastly, and leastly, we have the orbital 120mm HE barrage. Too few hits, spaced far too far apart, massively low damage. And it's like with the other ones, I want to like them because I like calling in airstrikes. It's funny. They're just not very useful. So there you have it, folks. That's the old stratagem tier list. I hope it helps. I hope it informs, and if it has, and if you've enjoyed, please like, subscribe, ring that little bell for notification. It really does help us out. And until the next time, I shall see you later. So take it easy, folks, and enjoy yourselves. See you later.